everybody, welcome back to TAZS Wig Closet at Wig Studio One. Wow, has Belle Tress ever been busy lately? Cranking out those new styles and colors. I'm always anticipating what they're going to come out with next. What I'm talking about is the new color called Root Beer Float Blonde. We're going to break down this color, take an inside and outside look at it. We're also going to compare this to some other popular rooted blondes in this range. You won't want to miss. Coming up. I purchased this style with my own funds. You can find it at Wig Studio One. Expand the description box below this video. You'll find a link directly to this style. You can check out all the colors, pricing. If you have any questions, you can reach out to support at wigstudio1.com or from any product page on the site. Scroll down, hit the help button to be connected with a live chat. So I just briefly want to talk about the style Caliente by Belle Tress. It's been out for quite a while. It's super popular. That mid-length wavy just never ever goes out of style. It's a nice shattered spiral look. It has some softer wave and some choppier texture. There's a very flattering length on that front piece, which is about 7 inches here. And then overall, I would say right around 12 to 13 inches. It's part of the Cafe collection by Belle Tress. All of those styles are made from the heat-friendly fiber. But the focus is on this brand new color called Root Beer Float Blonde. They started to add the color swatches to the products that this color was coming to probably about 2 months ago. And so it's just been hotly anticipated since then. You know, how light is it going to be? How bright is it going to be? Is it going to be warm? Is it going to be a cool tone? Is it really a blonde? Or is it just a heavily highlighted brunette? We're going to answer all of those questions. I could not be more thrilled with this personally, but I want you to know what you're getting if you order this color. There's really not a good color description out yet because it is so new, but I do have a color code to share with you. It's a 16, an 88, a 103, and an 8. So let's break that down. So that 16 looks like a dark ash blonde or a very light ash brown. And that's what I am getting on this color. I really was thinking this was going to be more of a warm base, but I was wrong. This looks like a very cool tone base color to me based on this piece that I have. Now you can always experience some variance from style to style, piece to piece on colors, but it's a nice, cool ash tone brown. Then comes in a highlight of, it's an 88, but to me it looks like more of a neutral wheat blonde, a light neutral wheat blonde. So we're still solidly in that neutral to ash tone area. And then it just looks like it's been iced or peppered with a platinum shade, which is like a neutral platinum all over. This really brightens up this color. It takes it to the next level of blonde. Belle Tress has the most layered, most dynamic colors that I have seen on any wigs. And I absolutely love how what their thought process is on colors. Generally, they like to include maybe just a tad of warmer with an ash tone. That gives it some dimension without warming it up too much. And I think that's what's happening here. So they're using some neutral blondes in addition to the ash brown, the light ash brown or dark ash blonde. And that just gives it just makes it very, very wearable for a lot of different skin tones. Now this has a medium brown root, in come the 8. It is so natural. That Belle Tress does an amazing transition on their roots. Their roots are also multi-tonal within them, so it's not just a flat medium brown like you see and then a stark line where the color begins. Oh, it's just done so beautifully. Look how that root just gradually transitions into the main color. Now they do take some of that highlight up to the root area, but that transition is absolutely flawless. Flawless. We've got a mono part and a lace front. They did bring the highlight up to the lace front without a real heavy banding effect. So they've kind of interspersed every other knot or so. So it makes it nice and very natural looking. This is well done. I hope that all of the applications of this color are done like this, because I want you to be able to experience this color for yourself if you're a fan. So you really have to want that neutral to cool tone. I was thinking just the opposite when I looked at that color swatch. I thought, gosh, you know, those highlights look really gold. And this is going to be more of a warmer shade. And the color in the name Root Beer Float just sort of puts me in mind of a rich, warmer tone, right? The vanilla ice cream meets the warm golden brown of the cola. I'm getting a little hungry, thirsty, ready for a treat. Their colors are just amazing and very, very mouth-watering. I'm going to put up a clip here of this color in Outdoor Light. So what you're going to find with Outdoor Light is that I have some cloud cover this morning, which kind of diffuses the light. There's no harsh sun coming in. And what happens is that these highlights just soak up and reflect any light that you see in the outside. Okay, so now we know all about the Root Beer Float Blonde. We can start to compare this to some of our favorite and very popular rooted blondes in this same range. I pulled out a few of my favorite rooted blondes to show you, the ones you're going to be most curious about. The first one that I'm going to start with is the Shaded Biscuit by Raquel Welch, which I have over here on my editor's pick. Let's take a look. Okay, so we've got some honey blondes in here. We have some sandier tones, some obvious pale platinum type tones as well on a medium root. So it's right there in this range, right? But your Shaded Biscuit is going to appear warmer and more golden than the Root Beer Float Blonde, okay? You can definitely see the difference, and that just kind of puts into perspective just how ash in tone this Root Beer Float Blonde really is, because sometimes we think of the Shaded Biscuit as being more neutral, but there's definitely some hints of warmth in this. So I think there's a closer color in the Raquel Welch line that we can take a look at to compare to the Belle Tress Root Beer Float Blonde, and that is the Iced Latte Macchiato, a part of their Cool Tones collection by Raquel Welch. This is an RL 1723 SS as opposed to the RL 1923 SS of the Shaded Biscuit. So you can definitely see we're getting closer, aren't we? Okay, so this one is a nice ash blonde with some platinum highlighting. Very, very cool in tone with a medium brown root. So this is an example of a color that is similar. I would like to pull this out as an example also of the rooting. So you can really see the stark rooting on this. It's a medium golden brown. This root is not a bad root here on the editor's pick, but you can definitely tell the difference between the ash brown root here on the Root Beer Float Blonde. There's just no warmth in it at all. It's all very ash cool tones. Even though this is a cool tone blonde, I feel like the Root Beer Float Blonde is even cooler, more ashy in tone than even this. So I want to look at it against a Jon Renau color that you would consider among the favorites. So I don't have a 12 FS8 on, I have it on Evan, but that's not enough hair to really get a good sense. So I pulled out the 12 FS12, which is Malibu Blonde by Jon Renau on my Julianne Light here, okay? So you can see it's in that same genre, but what you're gonna see is that this is more golden. So you've got some golden blondes, dark in tone, like a light golden brown, dark golden blonde, and then some gold blonde highlighting. And then sometimes you can pick up a little fine platinum highlighting throughout this color as well. Not enough that's gonna make it look platinum, but just enough to brighten it a bit. So if you are a fan of the 12FS8 by Jon Renau or the 12FS12, this is the comparison that you want to make in your mind, whether you might like this Root Beer Float Blonde. So again, that 12FS8 and the 12FS12 is probably going to be warmer in tone even than the Root Beer Float Blonde. The other difference you're going to see is that this is made from the regular synthetic fiber versus heat friendly. The light bounces off of the heat friendly just a bit differently than it does on the non-heat friendly. You're going to get a glossier look out of the non-heat friendly, less shine on the heat friendly. So now we're going to turn to the same family of styles by Belle Tress for some color comparisons. I'd like to point out the Butterbeer Blonde. This is a super popular blonde. It has some sandier tones in it, and it also has some platinums, okay? So this is neutral, I would say more neutral. It's got some cool tones in it, but there's just enough of those sandy tones to warm it up just a tad. And for that reason, I'm gonna say that these two are the same lightness and brightness, but the tone is a little bit different. I feel like this Root Beer Float Blonde is going to be ashier in tone. So again, Butterbeer Blonde versus Root Beer Float Blonde. Okay, so let's take a look at their newest color before the Root Beer Float Blonde, and that is the British Milktea. British Milktea is like 8 different colors mixed up in this. So it's a light sandy brown with some blondes in there. It looks like it's been toned all over because I'm actually getting a little bit of a lavender cast to some of these white highlights here just because of the toned effect here. Gorgeous, gorgeous color. So you can see where this is fairly ashy. It almost has a gray-like appearance just because of the toned effect. And you're not going to get that with the Root Beer Float. The Root Beer Float Blonde is very cool in tone, but it's not a powdery cool. Now, if you put a toner all over this, it might be very, very similar. So I'll pull out one more just to show you. This is the Dalgona 16 by Belle Tress in the color Champagne with Apple Pie. So Champagne with Apple Pie is a mixture of some warm blondes and some cool blondes on a light brown root. And it is a lot warmer than the Butterbeer, or the, here I go, it's going to be confusing, the Root Beer Float Blonde. But definitely more golden in tone than the Root Beer Float. So I hope you enjoyed a breakdown of this color and the references we made for perspective. That way you know what you get, what you're getting when you order. Everybody have an amazing day. We'll see you next time on TAZS Wig Closet at Wig Studio 1.